Hello, Privyet. It's Ivan here from Red Connection. And I don't know if everybody can see me okay or not, but this is mainly for the guns and not my face. So I know that there's a lot of people that aren't covering Eastern European firearms. Most specifically, there's a lot of people aren't covering the handguns. And I have acquired quite a few over the past few years. Pretty recently, I've learned how to really handle firearms well. I've learned how to handle Eastern European firearms well, and I'll cover a little bit of each one so you can understand where I'm coming from when I say there is a certain skill set when shooting certain guns, and if you're a gun person, you're pretty well adept as far as whatever platforms you use. You understand that there's a certain skill set which with a lot of different types of guns. If you know how to shoot well enough, you also know that you can pretty much use the same skill set with many platforms, but there's a few that stick out, and I'll point those out, or at least I'll try to explain it to you in this little video. What I mean by you may have to change up what you know to shoot certain types of guns, specifically certain types of Eastern Bloc guns. So I'd like to start with my most personal favorite. This right here, slightly modified just in the grip. Got a custom holster, as you can see. This holster is actually from Belarus. A gentleman's company it's called DPKH Holsters, and you can contact him on eBay. So what we have here, and it is clear, is a Bulgarian-made copy of the Russian Makarov pistol, or if you say it with the accent, Makarov. And not to sound ignorant, I hate to say so many times. I'm doing this just out of just randomness. I didn't have any pre-thought into this video, so bear with me. Bulgarian made, like I said, it's a copy of a Russian handgun. In Eastern Europe, in Russia, they call it the PM, which is short for Pistolet Makarov, which means Makarov's pistol. This one here is chambered in 9x18 millimeter. And what I've discovered is they will shoot 380s. I don't suggest reloads. The only reason I say that is because I had recently acquired a Russian-made IJ70A 17 model, and it's a 380 auto Makarov pistol that I don't know if it's something I did. I don't know if it's something because I was shooting reloads in it. But the firing pin seized inside of the action, and if you know anything about PMs, everything is built into the slide. Barrel is attached to the frame. Anyways, the firing pin seized, and that bad boy went full auto on me, and it was cool, but it's not supposed to do that. So that guy is out of commission right now. I should say girl. All my guns are girls. That one was made in Russia by Baikal. I don't think there's anything wrong with the gun. I feel like it was operator error, but with nobody to really bounce the ideas off of, me being pretty much the only person I know that has this much adept information and experience with Eastern Bloc Russian style guns, I'm not really sure what happened. But anyways, go back to what this was. So you've got a single double action blowback operated semi-automatic single stack magazine. And if you know anything about PMs, they are extremely fun to shoot. This one, all I did was I took a rubber grip and I basically just, I don't know if you can see that, I cut a hole in it. Camera's on this side. Sorry guys. Not much of a filmer. And that just helps give me a little bit of stabilization. I did have an aftermarket modified grip on it, but I just liked the way it looked. I saw one of my Russian friends on Instagram. He had a Stechkin style pistol, and he had a rubber grip over the top of it, and I just thought it looked cool. That's what I was going for, you know, the Russian cool. But anyways, something you need to understand when shooting this gun, and I wanted to bring this up because you may not know, a lot of people have a bad habit of when they grip a firearm, they want to grip the gun, and then they want to do this, or they want to do this. And I've seen this a lot, and this is one of my all-time favorites, no-nos. So on a PM, you'll notice it's got a safety selector decocker on the side of the gun, up and down, decocks it, down is fire. This gun comes back just like any other semi-auto, but something you need to know, this is not a Glock or Glock type gun. If you have your hand rested up against this safety selector and you hit it just right, you will cause damage to the firearm and possibly your hand. I got lucky. I found this out. Nobody taught me. I had to basically learn everything I know about this gun on my own. I had my hands pressed up against it just like you're supposed to, okay? And little did I know, I fired it one day and that bad boy came back. And if you know anything about PMs, the firing pin is attached, or it floats, and the safety selector here is attached just by basically a hinge point, and it pretty much free floats. And I knocked the firing pin out of the gun. It hit me in the chest. Didn't know what had happened. Scared the crap out of me, but I know now. Anyways, so I wanted to go over real quick, when you shoot a PM, and this is something I learned by watching a video on YouTube, and also doing it for myself and watching over and over again, not really knowing much Russian. My Russian is terrible, and it's a hard language to learn if you've ever tried. When you shoot a PM, you basically, I call this the staircase grip. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but basically when you grip the back of the gun, you do not want to rest your thumb up against the gun. You want to basically, and maybe you can see it from this view, you kind of want to, instead of resting your hand up against the gun, you want to kind of like have like a pinch where your thumb kind of sticks out a little bit more. You don't want to rest up on the gun. You want to stick your thumb out a little bit. And I'll do a video where we focus on shooting this style of gun, just so you guys can really see. I'm going over a bunch of different guns right now, but I just want to give you a heads up if you want to try it on your own. Just keep in mind, you want to have your grip slightly modified where your thumb is not resting on this safety switch, because I don't want that the same thing that happened to me happen to you, and then you're upset and you think that you're in trouble. Something else I want to bring into focus for the PM specifically style gun, the magazines. So I don't know if you can see the specific difference in the way that these magazines look. And I've got these ones taped together. I was too lazy to take them apart. That's how I keep these are my Model 1s and these are my Model 2s. And what the difference is, 1951 design, 1974 design. The Russians went back to the drawing board and redesigned them just slightly. You notice how the one's got like a little bit of a indentation that sticks out here, and this one's kind of wide open. They call this hump and no hump. At least that's what the people that sell them on Gunbroker, eBay, that's what they label it. So if you're looking for magazines, you've got hump and no hump. And the difference is, realistically, the no humps load a little better. And I don't know if you have any experience with PMs, you know that if it is specifically operator error, you get a brand new magazine, or if it's surplus and it just doesn't seem like it loads right, you may have to stretch your springs a little bit. And that advice comes from a Russian special operative friend of mine. Met him through Facebook, Instagram. Really cool dude. His name is Dimitri. Anyways, these later models, they do run better, and I have had pretty much no hang-ups. I have had not to modify them at all. I have not had to take them apart and stretch the springs. Now, on the older style, what I thought was truly the magazine's issue is actually operator error. So when you load these up and you go to use them, what you need to know is you do not want to limp wrist the gun when you shoot it, but also, it's kind of hard to explain this. But what these do, they lock into the gun better than the later models, but the later models have a tendency to not hang up like the older model. And I mean, unless you've experienced this for yourself, if you go out and you experience it for yourself, you buy a PM, you get into it, you start buying both kinds, the hump or no hump magazines. You'll notice though that if you get surplus ones or possibly new ones, that you may have to stretch your springs. And that is something that Dimitri told me to do, and it did help a little bit. But what I found out, because I have 3 different sets of these kind, and I have one set that is completely unmodified. I have not messed with them at all. I have not stretched the springs. It's all on me. I didn't realize that there's just a way you handle the gun, the way that you load the rounds in. You know, if you guys have ever seen anybody, you know, you load up your magazine and then you see somebody go like that. That is an excellent thing to do with, especially with these single stack magazines like this. And also too, unless you live in like Nevada or New Mexico or Texas where there's a lot of hot, dry climate, lots of dirt, lots of sand, I don't recommend this specifically for you guys. But I noticed, I'm up here in Michigan and it gets pretty hot and sweaty in the summertime. It's like Vietnam weather, real greasy. Not a lot of sand, just a lot of humidity. And if you know anything about humidity, it can cause a lot of problems as far as rust, corrosion. So extra lubrication on your guns is always good. Lubricate your magazines. I know you'll probably have somebody's dad, somebody's granddad tell you, oh, you never have to lubricate your magazines. I have found out, especially living up here, especially with these types of magazines, extra lubrication on them is super helpful. I don't know. That's just from personal use and experimentation. It works, and it works better. But like I said, I don't recommend you putting extra lubrication on anything if you live in a climate that's like deserty, because if anybody knows, especially you veterans that have been to Afghanistan, Iraq, you don't lube that bad boy up very much, because you know the dirt's going to get in there and it's just going to get ugly. So with that being said, just kind of remember, lubricate sparingly, but if you live in a humid, hot climate that there's not a lot of dirt to worry about, lubricating these guys can really help. Up next, another of my personal favorites. This is a Polish made, you could call it a miniature Makarov. It is called a P64, and this is a fantastic little gun. I'm going to tell you right now, the drawback of this gun, only in my opinion, is the availability of magazines. I have 2. And I used to have a whole bunch of aftermarket ones, and they were garbage. If you know anything, if you're an Eastern Bloc lover like me, you realize that there's a lot of American gunsmiths and parts manufacturers that don't really still understand Eastern European technology and how it all comes together, machining. You know what I'm talking about if you are a combloc lover. Anyways, so that's the one drawback that I would say about this gun, is that magazines are a bitch to find, especially factory mags. And how you can tell they're factory mags, and I'll tell you right now, they'll have a lot number. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. They'll have a lot number, and they may have a symbol at the top up here like this one does. That's how you can tell that it's Polish factory magazine from the Radom factory in Poland. This one has a little bit of cool history, traced it back. This one was built in 1967. I don't know if you can see the number. It was owned and operated by a Polish police officer in Warsaw. He carried it, and he carried it for about 8 months, I think is what it said. And he had to qualify and shoot like 20 rounds through it once a month. So when I got this gun, and I haven't shot it a lot, it's pretty brand new. It's a phenomenal carry gun. It's a phenomenal self-defense gun, and it's just fun to shoot. And once again, the same thing with the PM. This guy will also shoot 380s. So it is chambered in 9x18 Makarov, and it'll shoot 380s, and it's super cool. And as you can see, it's got little miniature, its own little version magazine. And the reason I call it a mini is, I mean, you can see how big it is compared to the full-size PM. The PMs hold 8 rounds. These only hold 6. Now, there's some aftermarket magazines available on like eBay Don't buy them. Just don't. If you're gonna get one of these and they are available, I think Classic Firearms still sells them. I think you can get them on Gun Broker too. Factory mags only, guys. Okay, and it sucks. You're gonna be like, whoa, $90 for a magazine? Are you out of your mind? Magazines are everything. Okay, if you're gonna carry it, you're gonna use it, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it more if it shoots. If you get it and you buy a bunch of aftermarket crap for it and it blows up or it doesn't feed, you want to carry it or whatever, you can't even show your friends because you're embarrassed of how it works because of the aftermarket crap you bought, don't be like that. If you're going to get into this, if I've learned anything about Eastern Bloc guns, especially these surplus ones that are older, you've got to have patience, but you also have to have an open mind as far as be prepared to spend a little more money to get better stuff that you're going to have to wait 6 months to get because it's coming from Russia or Belarus or Bulgaria. Don't buy this aftermarket crap that's made in the States. It's not worth it. It's really not, okay? It's not like buying an AR-15 and you can buy like a sling and a Magpul magazine for it. It ain't like that at all. It's just not. It's not a Glock. These are different animals. I promise you that. With that being said, if that's something that you're interested in, I'd highly recommend the P64. It is super fun to shoot. Next up, I have got Serbian-made Tokarev style pistol. This is not necessarily a Tokarev, even though it is based off the Tokarev. And as you can see, I put an aftermarket grip on it. If you know anything about Tokarev pistols. This one here is an M70 Double A. It's made in Serbia by Zastava. It is chambered in 9mm parabellum. They do make an M57 Double A, which is the 7.62 Tokarev cartridge. So that would be more like a Tokarev. I got the one in 9mm because 9mm is a little bit easier to come by due to the pandemic, the election, all the stuff that's been going on. Tokarev is available, it's just that everybody is basically not manufacturing a lot of these off the grid cartridges. They're concentrating on, I'll tell you this, they're concentrating real hard on 9mm and 5.56 as the two big contenders for self-defense cartridges, shooting, etc. So that's why I got it chambered in 9mm. This thing shoots so good. I tell you what, if you would have handed me this years ago when I didn't know dick about shooting and I hold guns like crap like I see all day long on the range, I would have thought this was the most worthless piece of shit ever made. But since I know how to shoot, I'm a very good shooter. I'm also a firearms instructor. This is an awesome freaking gun. As far as carry, it's a little heavy, a little bulky. It's like a 1911, except it doesn't suck. It doesn't hang up. It doesn't jam. Unless you shoot like shit, it's going to jam all the time. And for a lot of you that say, oh, I have a Tokarev and it shoots low, that's not the gun, that's you. You're limp wristing it, you're holding it improperly, you're jerking the trigger, and you have to remember something about sights. Any sights on any gun, if you know anything about shooting, is wherever your front sight is. If you want to hit, it's called holdover, just like a scope or an optic. Where the sight and the barrel is, you're always going to shoot a little bit lower if you're trying to hit where you're aiming. Aim a little higher, you're going to hit where you want to hit. That's just how it works. Don't blame me. This is how the game is played. The only drawback to these Tokarev style pistols that are made in Serbia, or if you get any other ones, the magazine drop on these is really bad. So I push the magazine button and that bad boy does not come out of there. Okay? So just keep in mind, this is a 1933 design gun. Even though this is a brand new factory gun that I just bought, it was just manufactured literally like a year ago. It's brand new, but the design is very old, so be patient with her. If you get one, they are worth it. I paid literally under $400, brand new, factory warranty, 2 mags, and it's awesome to shoot. I've got a holster coming from Russia. I should be getting it any day now. Hopefully I'll be able to do a video on holsters too so you guys can see. But yeah, if you're into combloc and you want to collect them and carry them and use them, a Tokarev style handgun like this is just awesome to have. Another thing too, this one that's made in made by Zastava, they put a safety on them. The original Tokarev pistols don't have safeties. And also, there's a default in them now too. These new ones that are coming out of Serbia, the hammer won't drop without a magazine in it. So you have to put an empty magazine. It's kind of like the Rugers. You ever shot like Ruger pistols? A lot of the Rugers are like that. You got to put a magazine in it to close the slide and close the hammer. That's how these are built. They're made safe because originally the Tokarevs were literally like super dangerous. Soviet soldiers had all kinds of misfires with them simply because they just didn't have a safety on them. They were designed just like the German Lugers. They were designed to be kept in a closed holster. You draw, you rack it, you shoot it with one hand, and that's it. You didn't keep it loaded like we carry guns now with one in the chamber, full stack, safety on, or striker fire, whatever. They weren't like that back in the 30s and 40s. It was a different ball game, the way that they did things. We've come a long ways. Next on my list, made by Grand Power in Slovakia. Striker fire for the next generation. If you're a fan of the CZ-P10s, this is its absolute next direct line competitor, in my opinion. I've shot all sizes of the P10, and I hate to say it, but this guy takes the cake away from CZ. 9mm parabellum. It's got a floating, rotating chrome line barrel. Okay, you couldn't break this gun if you freaking wanted to. This one here is called the Q1S. This is actually their small compact gun. The one you may be familiar with if you've heard about Grand Power is the K100 series, which is a full-size hammer fire. It's got a safety on it. They've got a couple of other ones, but I wanted the carry one just because I actually saw Calian Noir do a video on it. And I was looking for an Eastern Bloc modern gun, more modern I should say, that wasn't a CZ. I love CZ, but if you guys know anything about me, I got to be different. So I was like, what can I get that's East Bloc, but nobody else really has? And I was like, holy crap, this gun is perfect for me. So I got it off Gun Broker. I literally paid just a little over $400. Came with 3 mags. It shoots like a freaking champ. The trigger is just amazing. So if you want to take a chance on a $400 gun, just for shits and giggles, and you want to get into combloc guns or Eastern European guns, whatever terminology you want to use, the Grand Powers are freaking worth it. Also, too, what's cool about the Grand Powers is this is probably the closest gun here in the United States we'll ever get to having a replica to Russian-style guns that are being used now that were built in the late 90s, 2000s. If you've ever heard of the MP446, which is a hammer fire gun, then they made it in a striker fire gun, 9mm parabellum. This is not really the same gun, but it's pretty close. The way it looks, seems like the way that the trigger works, the action. Because, I mean, you can thank our legislator and previous leaders for putting all kinds of bans on Russian small arms because, you know, it's the evil Russians trying to take over the world, trying to kill us all, yada, 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 whatever. And you know what I always say, guys? I don't know if you can see it. Don't worry. Wait for Russians. So anyways, that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to cover. I basically just gave you 4 different Eastern Bloc guns, and I love all of them. But yeah, each one has a purpose and a place. So maybe you'll be like that too. I don't know. Maybe you're just a collector. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight on Eastern Bloc guns because nobody's talking about them. Nobody, I believe, has ever done a video like this. So I hope this helped any of you who are interested in guns in general, any of you that are interested in Eastern Bloc guns, any of you that are already Russian nuts like I am and you want to be Russian, or you want to be Slav, whatever your thing is. I hope that this video helped. And so do me a favor, like and subscribe. Add us on Facebook, Red Connection. I'm on Instagram, Ivan White Wolf 87. Um, yeah, guys. So stay frosty out there, okay? До свидания, товарищи.